with an emphasis on audit analytics. And so I've talked about this a little bit throughout the class, throughout the semester, is that now audit firms are really looking at how they can incorporate big data into their audit tests. And so most of the firms, I would say, all of the big four and a good portion of the smaller size firms, the second tier or second big four, are using audit technology, new audit technology, to be able to look at, to audit more effectively. And when I talk about audit more effectively, what I mean is the technology today allows us the opportunity to examine 100% of the transactions. So we're not covering sampling, but I've talked about sampling. So when we talk about some of the audit procedures in the revenue cycle or audit procedures in the expenditure cycle, I always talked about select a sample, right? So a sample is supposed to be representative of the population, but the reality is that you're only selecting a very small percentage of the transactions to examine. So technology today, and while that's acceptable, that's how we audit now. If you've done internships, that's probably what you've done. But firms recognize that technology gives them the opportunity to conduct a much higher quality audit, a much more effective audit, if they are able to look at 100% of the transactions. So I'm going to talk about, just introduce you to that concept of audit analytics, how audit analytics is used. And then Liu Zhang, who is one of our PhD students who's working in this area, he's going to give you a demonstration of visualization using Tableau, which is an example of a tool that auditors use to analyze data. Okay, so when we talk about audit analytics, what we're looking at is we're talking about the financial audit. So that includes auditing, the account balances as well as internal controls. So what we're looking at is testing based on assertions. So remember, management makes assertions about the financial statements, and auditors gather evidence in support of those assertions that they're making. So now that we know, right, because we're in this environment where we have a lot of data. I mean, the technology is available. Everything's done using technology today, right? So think about, when I started out in auditing, we did everything by paper and pencil. I don't tell you how long ago that was. I didn't even have a computer on my desk. I didn't get a computer on my desk until I was manager, and that was in the 80s, right? So we are using everything by computer. Your phone's a computer. I see, I have an Apple Watch, which is really cool. I answer my phone on my watch, that kind of stuff. So we do so much. But all of that is data. Think about Google Maps, right? So we don't go anywhere now. If we're not familiar with where we're going, we plug it in Google Maps, right? Whether we're walking, we're driving, we plug it in. All of that data is being analyzed, right? All of that data is collected in the cloud somewhere. So audit firms and businesses recognize that they could use that data, right, to provide evidence. So an example might be, we had one of our PhD students who since graduated, was working with one of the big firms. And what they were trying to do was develop this model to be able to test revenue. So right now when we test revenue, right, the occurrence, completeness, when we test revenue, we select a sample of revenue transactions. And let's just say we're in an environment where the company ships goods, right? Then we're going to select a sample of transactions recorded in the sales journal, and we're going to trace those to shipping documents, right? But we can only do a sample. So imagine a company that ships 100,000 shipments a day, or over the course of the year, how many sales transactions they engage in. So that would be very difficult to look at. You couldn't select enough to cover the majority of those transactions. And it's not feasible to look at all those transactions by selecting a sample. So now what this student was doing was looking at factors that impacted revenue. And so, in addition to patrols and things of that nature, she looked at weather patterns. So this was this particular company was in retail, and the weather impacts the amount of work. I mean, the amount of traffic that a store might get. So, because you can imagine if you're in certain states where the winters are really harsh, I doubt people are out shopping because they can't even get their cars out. So that's going to impact the store, the sales for the stores. So she developed this predictive audit model to look at bringing in various factors, but one of the big data factors was weather, in which she could download that information because that information is available on the web that would allow her to bring that information in and to consider that to look at whether or not the accuracy of the revenue that was recorded. So that's just an example of how we could use big data in an audit environment. So now we know that technology is giving us the ability to do that. So using audit analytics can definitely impact the nature, timing, and extent of our audit procedures, right? So you can think about that we can now, with audit analytics, look at 100% of the transactions. With continuous auditing, we can look at the transactions every day, right, on a continuous basis, continuous monitoring. So not only are external auditors looking at this, but we also have internal audit departments. So internal audit is probably a little further ahead in terms of implementing this in their businesses. There are greater challenges for auditors, obviously, because they have to work with the client's existing system. But again, people recognize, both groups recognize that the cost of doing this, right, is a lot cheaper than traditional auditing. And there was one analysis done that was said that a traditional audit procedure costs about $4 for the way we do things now. Whereas if you can use analytical procedures, you can bring that down to 0.01. So that's a big savings. So that's where we are now, where firms are looking. So some of the challenges we have with this is the standard setting process, how regulators are going to view this information, how does it change when you have exceptions? Because if you imagine, if you look at, if you can test 100% of the items, so you have an audit data analytic that allows you to go out and examine 100% of the sales transactions. Right? And so when you get that back, so let's say in doing that, let's say a company had 1 million transactions over the course of a year, and you use that data analytic, and when your results came back, you were able to verify the accuracy, the occurrence, the completeness of 96% of those 960,000, right, of 1 million transactions. So your error rate or outlier rate was less than 5%. That's pretty good, right? However, that can be a huge number, right? The percentage may be small, but a regulator might come in and say, okay, well, you still have 40,000 outliers. And even though we are able to test 96% with accuracy, there's this 4% that's not. So how would regulators view that? Are they going to focus on the 4%? Or are they going to focus on the fact that there are 40,000 outliers? And an auditor still can't examine 40,000 errors. They can't follow up on 40,000 errors. So those are some of the challenges that we're trying to iron out now. In fact, Rutgers is the Newark, here in Newark, we have the Continuous Auditing Research Lab. And so Professor Vossarelli, I don't know, how many of you had Professor Vossarelli? So Professor Vossarelli heads the Continuous Auditing Research Lab. And Rutgers is a part of an initiative with the AICPA, which is looking at data analytics. And we have, along with that initiative, the big four firms plus 4 of the second tier firms. So this is really important. the profession recognizes that we should be moving forward with this. And I think, soon, I don't know how soon, but clearly we're going to start moving away from the traditional audit approach to a more technology-driven approach, because it's something that needs to be done. All right. I talked a little bit. So continuous auditing is where auditors perform testing or audit-related functions on a continuous basis. So it's not, right now what we do is we stop at a period of time, come in and analyze transactions, right? Analyze what transpired. So it's very much, after the fact, right? It's historical, like we look backwards. So continuous monitoring allows real-time auditing, that you can examine those transactions, controls on a continuous basis. And so this is something that's been around for a long, long time. In fact, Professor Passarelli was very instrumental in this area. However, it's now coming to the forefront from an external audit perspective as an area that we should be moving forward, a way that we should be moving. And you have internal, as I said, internal audit departments have been a little bit more, proactive in this area. So a lot of, you just find a few internal audit departments that have instituted continuous auditing, continuous risk assessment in their departments in certain areas. So some examples of how we can use analytics. We talked about the general ledger, right? So some of the ways that we can look at, because one of the things that you're concerned with the general ledger are that there are journal entries, topside journal entries that are made to the general ledger that might be valid or may not be, right? Because most of the time, because general ledgers, the accounts in the general ledger represent the control accounts, right? So in most instances, you expect that those control accounts are being fed, right, or updated through the detailed journals or master files. So one of the things you can do is to look at the aging of the items in clearing and suspense accounts that could be in the general ledger. Look at manual journal entries affecting those control accounts, right? Those are what I refer to as topside journal entries. Suspicious journal entries. For example, if you see a debit to revenue, why would there be a debit to revenue? Or if you see dormant accounts and suddenly you're seeing journal entries posted to those accounts. Those are suspicious journal entries. And you could also look at testing cutoff violations by identifying any journal entries that are made to close periods. Right? So once a period has been closed, why would you still see activity being made booked to those accounts in there? So some other things you can look at, I talked about unauthorized journal entries by unauthorized users, duplicate journal entries. And right now, auditors have the ability to do this with CAT, computer-assisted audit techniques. IDEA is one example of that. Right? You can perform some of these things in IDEA as well. Other things would be purchase to pay, or the acquisition and expenditure cycle. Common frauds is to establish false vendors, accounts, and fraudulent invoices, and run fraudulent invoices through it. So you can determine whether or not, look at things like matching vendor accounts, vendor addresses to employee addresses to ensure, or telephone numbers to ensure that your vendor is not also an employee, right? Because that goes against company policies. Also checking against master file updates to the vendor master file. Duplicate invoices and payments are a common control issue. And you have the ability, I think Denise might have gone over this when we were doing the introduction to IDEA, but looking at multiple combinations of vendor ID or date or invoice number and amount. Right? So also how those numbers are input, right? Because you can have a vendor number that's 0001A, and then someone goes in and tries to make a duplicate payment, and they slightly change the vendor number to 1.8. How would that be detected? Could that be detected in the verifying the customer master file. So that's some examples of purchase to pay. Some other examples would be you see people splitting requisitions and POs, or where they're trying to, because purchase orders, one of the controls would be that purchase orders over a certain limit has to be approved by a higher level person. So if someone is trying to push through purchase order and circumvent those controls, they might split the requisitions and the purchase orders to do that. You want to make sure that there's a proper segregation of duties, right? You can test that in using data analytics by looking at, because one of the things people have to, we talked about accountability, right? You have to be able to log a user ID to log onto the system, a password to access the ID. So you could look, if everyone has a unique user ID, which they should, right, then you could look across user IDs, across functions to determine whether or not there are any types of duplicate or segregation of duties issues. Other ways, other things is examples of order to cash, right? With order to cash, or the sales and collection cycle, order to change invoice dates. Right? So you can, because what people are concerned about here is the aging of accounts receivable, because if you change the invoice date, then that's going to impact the aging. So the age, you wouldn't properly age the accounts receivable. So you can compare the AR files to identify any changes in invoice dates. Matching of employee and customer details, same thing. Your customer, you don't want goods delivered to an employee address. Multiple accounts with the same customer. And this is a way to circumvent credit approval limits. So again, looking at certain things such as this sort on street address, for example, to determine if you have multiple customers at the same street address. Each customer should have a unique address. So those are ways that you can analyze data to determine if there are any types of fraudulent activity. Some other things, you can look at credit limits versus orders, duplicate customers, looking at unauthorized or excessive commissions, right? You can run an analysis by salesperson, their commissions over a period of time, right? Their commissions as a percentage of commissions paid out in total or paid out in that region. So there are several different types of analysis you can perform to be able to identify unusual transactions, right? You want to see if there's a pattern. Look at the patterns to determine if there are any types of anomalies and what those anomalies mean. So think about when we talked about planning, right? Where the auditor performs analytical procedures to determine if it's any recognition pattern in the data that would suggest that there's a problem, because analytical procedures are attention directed, right? You can look at things for cash receipts versus the invoice amount, right? There you can start, we invoiced a certain amount, are we receiving cash receipts in accordance with the amount invoiced, or shipments without a sales order, right? Because if you don't have, because most customers are going to place an order, right? You should process an order, and that should agree with the shipment. And so you can determine whether or not your goods being shipped without having proper, that may not be shipped to a customer, or that are unauthorized. And then also days sales outstanding, that's just an analysis by sales. And with data, with the ability to drill down and to look at this in more detail, and Lou will show some examples of how you can do that in visualization. So that's just a brief introduction to data analytics and what it is and auditing, right? It's unfortunately, we're not 100% there. Some firms are using it, but running it parallel to their audit engagements, doing traditional audit procedures, as well as running data analytics to see, to test the effectiveness. It's sort of like a proof of concept. But it is a direction that we're moving in, and you're going to see more and more of this. Some of the things that I recommend to students who ask me about things that they should major in, what they should major in, or different types of classes they should take, I always suggest to students to take more information technology classes, because that really does enhance your skill set. And as I said to you before, you're doing this idea project. When you go on your job interviews or for internships, you should talk about the fact that you've worked with idea and the kind of work that you've done, the analysis that you've done using idea, because that is definitely something that improves your skill set. So you want to market that as much as possible. So I'm going to stop talking and let Lou give you a demonstration on how visualization works and how it's being used in an audit context.
right now, we're now all use kind of the interactive data visualization. So in contrast to the static data visualization, interactive data visualization enables decision makers to specify the format used to display information. Select the information they view as most relevant for decision making most. Alright? So visual analysis software like Tableau allow us to not only represent data graphically, but to also interact with those visual representations to change the nature of display to do what they want to do. Alright, later I gotta do a demonstration about how to do some interactive activities with the graphs I created. Right? So why visualization is so important right now? Because we're now in the big data era. So we generate, we store, we transit, we communicate a large amount of data every day, every hour, every minute. But our ability of data analysis cannot match our ability of generating and storing data. So, which brings a real phenomenon called information overload. So, information overload refers to the situation in which the rate of information is too high for the receiver, which is us, to process efficiently without distraction, stress, or increasing errors and other costs making information poor. So visual analysis, which we also call interactive visualization, is technologies aiming at turning the information overload into an opportunity. So
can I just interject? So just to, this goes what we was talking about with information overload. Just imagine if, as I said, I gave an example where a company had 1 million transactions, which is on the low end of any major company, right? So imagine if you had to analyze all of those transactions visually, just going through the general ledger and trying to scan, or the sales journal and just trying to scan. So remember, one of the audit procedures is scan, right? And that's an audit procedure. So there's not much you can tell from that, right? If you just try to scan and you're looking for outliers, just imagine trying to scan the entire general ledger or the sales journal. You can't do it effectively. Visualization helps with that, right? Because it takes all of those transactions and presents it in a way that that your brain can capture it.
So visualization technology can be used to support decision making in two ways. The first is an analytical tool to do some, we call it two different kinds of analytical process. The first one EDA, which is exploratory data analysis. Another one is CDA, we call it confirmatory data analysis. So for the EDA, it's like we do not have any idea of what we should do. So we just generate, for the visualization perspective, we just generate a graph to see some hiding pattern of the data. So and then we have some hypothesis regarding this data, and we do some another test to test our hypothesis. This is the CDO called confirmatory data analysis. And of course, visualization is a very powerful presentation tool to communicate your results with the audience. Alright? So why we always say that our brain is so powerful compared to the computer? Because once I see your face, I know who you are. But for the computer, it's impossible right now for the computer to recognize everyone's face. Alright, but our brain can process a picture in just 13 milliseconds, which is much faster than table of numbers. So that's why we are now realize the importance of visualization, because we want to utilize the powerful perspective of our brain. So the right presentation using the best practice of information visualizations makes organizing and understanding information simple. Features, trends, outliers, always like clusters, show up the way they never do in rows and columns, which is the statement made by Tableau software in 2008. So by presenting data in visual form, interactive visualization technology can combine the flexibility, the creativity, and the general knowledge of the human with the enormous storage capacity and the computation power of modern computers. That's increasing the effectiveness and efficiency of human problem-solving performance. So there is a very popular theoretical basis for all the visualization research for the design of the application of visualization we call the cognitive fit theory. So the idea of this theory for example, for audit scenario, so you want to use a visualization, but everybody's different. Somebody's colorblind, cannot see the difference between the green and black, something like that. All right. So in order to actually increase the effectiveness and efficiency of the problem-solving performance, we need meet requirement we call cognitive fit. According to the extended cognitive fit model, there are three elements in your decision-making process. We call first is the visual representation format. The second one we call it decision-making characteristics. The third one we call it task characteristics. So for different decision makers, each one has different characteristics. For different visualization format, we have a scatter plot, we have line chart, we have pie chart, we have heat map, we have geological heat map, whatever, different kinds of graphs. For the task characteristics, we have tasks regarding to a huge amount of data. We have tasks regarding to the relationship between different agents. This is different task characteristics. So according to this theory, in order to actually increase the effectiveness and efficiency, we should meet the cognitive fit. The fit should happen among those three elements. Okay, so for example, if you have IT background and you are deal with a very huge amount of data, so you should choose different kinds of graphs in order to meet the fit, to let the fit happen. Otherwise, if you choose the wrong presentation format, maybe on the other hand, gonna decrease the results of your decision-making performance. All right. So this is the idea of cognitive theory. That's it. So various types of visualization generated from the EDA or CDA of three data sets will be demonstrated by the Tableau story. So now I'm not using the PowerPoint, I'm using the presentation tool provided by Tableau called Tableau story. So with the help of Tableau story, later I'm gonna do some interactive presentations. Okay. So I actually generate various types of visual results, like static bar chart, line chart, scatter plot, tree map, texture map, heat map, geographical node map, geographical heat map, and modeling diagram. And I use three different data sets to do this. So here is a brief description of the data sets I use. The first one is the insurance claim data, which is the 7 months insurance claim data, include over 10,000 insurance claim. Okay, so the second one, I just download data from a website called Crunchbase, which is a website related to those startups, those new companies. So I download a data set with 50,000, around 50,000 new companies, competition startups, and I take a sample of 5,000 to make it easier. So this data, I call demo data, includes around 5,000 startups with their profile information. Okay. The third one is the data set I just make it up to do the modeling diagram. All right. So modeling the diagram is kind of an advanced visualizations. we have a lot so-called advanced visualization like storyline, like in diagrams, like decision tree, something like that. You can do this kind of visualization by Tableau, but you should know a little bit about codings, and you should re-prepare the data. Right? I just want to show you that you can do this. Alright. Okay, so the first, for the insurance claim data, I do 4 different tests. The first one is pattern recognitions to overview the nature of the data. Alright, so the second one, there I test 3 different audit assertions. Alright, I'm gonna show you later. Alright, so first I generate a bar chart, which you may be very familiar with. Alright, I call it stacked bar chart to investigate the actual payment value according to the Social Security number. Alright, the Social Security number here is encrypted. Alright, because it's sensitive information. Okay, so for the claim data, we have 3 different policies. So it's represented by the color. Alright, the blue one is policy number 81, which is individual claims. Another 2 are all group claims, 82 and 93. Alright.
So you said 81 is individual claims?
Individual claim. For the other 2 colors is a group claim. So like a company.
This is from Brazilian.
Yeah, Brazil.
Right, because I'm just, the words are in
Oh, it's in
Portuguese.
Okay. Portuguese.
How do you know that he's Portuguese?
Because I know the company that we're working with. I can't read it, I just know.
I can't, I'm just like.
Yeah, I can't speak. Well, I just know the company that we're working with, and it's a Portuguese company, so I've seen this before.
So for the individual claim, which means that the individual buy the policy directly from the company. For the group claim, which means group policy means the company buy the package of the insurance policy for their employees. That's the difference. So the length of the bar represents the actual payment that a beneficiary paid to the insurance company. And
So, I'm trying to understand this, right? So, let's look at the very first one, right? Because it's by social security number.
yeah,
So each of on the very first column are all individual social security numbers?
no,
Group?
it's like this is the social security number for the beneficiary. He may be the owner of the company.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I see. So for the
All the-
so who receives the benefits?
Who received the benefit?
Okay, and so this person could so that red because it's individual? Is
The
that-
blue means the
Oh, blue's individual.
Yeah.
So the blue that's individual could mean that this person, purchased a policy
Yeah.
or
for himself and also for
and named himself the
yeah.
beneficiary.
So maybe that's interesting because
Or insured other people
Yeah.
and made the company a
Yeah.
beneficiary.
yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's like Professor Henry said, like the first column, this person paid a lot of money, paid the most money to the company to buy not only the group policy but also individual policies. So maybe it's gonna be some interesting things for auditor to see about.
Right, so that would be a red, because that's unusual.
Yeah, that's unusual, yeah.
Right, because that the benefit you buy, because if you're the beneficiary, right, you brought a policy,
And you see other
a company policy that makes, for you, so you purchased a policy for individuals in your company and made yourself the beneficiary.
yeah, and also buy the group policy for the employees.
And made yourself the beneficiary.
Yeah.
Because the social security number, you said, is for the beneficiary.
Yeah, beneficiaries.
So that means that this person, because if Rutgers buys an insurance policy for me, the insurance policy is, I would name somebody the beneficiary,
Yeah.
like a spouse, not Rutgers, right?
Yeah.
That seems weird.
Yeah, and also, and then the proportion is also weird. So we see another beneficiary, the individual just a small proportion of the whole payment. But for the first one, more than half of the money is from the individual policies.
But you don't know who purchased the policy.
Yeah.
You just know who the beneficiary of the policy. Okay.
Yeah, that's like, this is kind of visualization to do the pattern recognition. So you can immediately identify some weird errors, and you can just click this bar. Oh, sorry. So normally, because I just downloaded the software, maybe some problem. But normally you can do some interactive activities here. It's like you identify a weird pattern here, so you can click just blue bar, and you can open the original data set. You can open the original data set, but you not do.
So that you could click on that and see all of the transactions
Yeah.
that make up that.
Yeah, the detailed transactions.
And I saw something that was dollar value.
Yeah,
I'm
dollar
assuming that
values.
was in Brazilian
the
dollars.
location of the beneficiary, address, age, something from the original data set. Right. So this is like why the interactive visualization is so important right now, because here we're doing what we call a special task. It's like you identify the trend, clusters, outliers, like it's weird outliers, something like that. Alright, use your special ability of your brain. Then you can just by click this kind of outliers and go to the original data set to do we call it symbolic tasks. So the special task.
What we call it on substantive text.
Yeah, substandard task. Yeah. The special task is like you want to know what's going on, what is look like. So the symbolic task is you go to the original data set to see what is this. All right, this is why the interactive visualization is so popular right now.
So I can just bring us back to some of the things that we talked about in terms of what auditors do. So in this case, if an auditor would look at this chart at the planning, right, at a very high level. And so this is similar to analytical procedures, right? Because the only thing you can tell from this data is that there's this outlier, right? Or there's this beneficiary that there seems to be some inconsistencies with policies where this person is the beneficiary, right? So that just gives you at this point you can't say anything's wrong. You can only determine it. This is an anomaly. It's attention directed, right? It doesn't seem to make sense, and you have questions about it. And then when you could then click on those outliers, and then you would perform more detailed testing to try to gather evidence about what's causing it. Doesn't make sense, right? Is it a valid transaction? Is it indicative of a fraudulent transaction? And so by drilling down, you can look at so you would know that you want to look at more detail on those things that are outliers.
So, and also I generated another visualization results we call tree map, which is a kind of like heat map. So to investigate the relationship among locations, number of payments, and the average actual payment. Alright, so the size of the square represents the number of the payments from their locations. And the name of the location are also labeled on the square. Alright, this is the Brazil insurance company. So we can see that most of the payments, the counts of the payments from the São Paulo and the Rio, which is known, right? But also we can find some spot, which means like this one. It's the
darker colors. Oh, I see. The darker colors are the heat spots.
Yeah, the darker means the average payment for the location. So I just want to demonstrate you can use tree map to find some kind of outliers like this. So I use actual payment, but I can use, for example, I can use the size of square to represent the population, and I use the color intensity to represent, for example, the total amount of payment. So if you find a very small square, which means there are not a lot of people live there, but the total amount of payment is very high, you can immediately find the outliers. And you can click that square, and then you can further investigate the origin and find which causes anomalies.
And so you would also, and for this to be effective or anything, if we still go back to our basic planning process, right? Is that when you go through the process of understanding the client's business, understanding the entity, that's what's going to help you identify what would be considered an anomaly, right? So we're still going through the same process that we go through in a traditional audit. Is this that we're now using different types of tools to be able to really unearth what these anomalies represent, to get a better indication of these anomalies, because in a traditional audit, that would be harder to see, right? Without technology, it's harder to drill down to that exact level without going through all of the insurance, going through the transactions or payments by region, by town, by location, and so forth and so on.
So this is tree map. Next one also the similar pattern. If you like, this one is like the texture map. So the size of text represent, for example, the population of the location. The color of the text represent like the payment. So you can find some hotspot. Like, but for this data set, I did not find any anomalies.
Right, because you would expect, because of the size of Sao Paulo, which is the capital of Brazil, you expect that that's going to have the most activity, the most payment. So the fact that that sticks out at Rio de Janeiro, you expect those things. It's what's around it. So if you see other, for example, if you saw that Campinas was in red, that might be a red flag, right? Because you would know that that's not a big center. There's not a huge population there. That's not where most of their insurance policies are written. So if you saw that in red, that would raise a red flag, and you would know to focus your testing in that area.
Yeah. So, like Professor said, if you find a very small text but with like orange color, you can just click that or go to orange data to find what's going on. So, all right. So this is the pattern recognition phase. So first I want to text the first assertions, which is the cutoff assertions. All right, regarding this insurance data set. So I compare the loss occurrence date with the claim recorded date to check whether the claim date makes sense or not. So I use the box plot here. All right, and I do identify some outliers here, like this one with the claim number, suite, blah blah blah. The loss occurred almost around 5 years before the company actually recorded claim. So like the beneficiary lost something 5 years ago, and then 5 years later the company finally recorded it. So this
Is that when they paid it or when they recorded it?
They were recording it.
So they paid it 5 years ago and they recorded it 5 years
No,
later?
they did not pay.
Oh,
Just,
okay.
the company just recorded it, but the document say that the loss happened like 5 years ago.
Okay, so why would that, are you looking at this to determine then the efficiency in which they resolve their claims?
We just want to ask whether the candidate whether this is arrow or some special reason for that, because normally it won't take that long time.
Okay, so your baseline is that, let's say, for example, claims are usually resolved in 90 days.
Yeah.
So anything that, like this, where there's a 5-year difference, is an outlier.
Yeah, it's
It
outlier.
suggests that it's not that it could be totally legitimate,
Yeah,
but,
could be.
you know, it could be, it's unusual, so you would go
Yeah.
down. Okay, I see what you're doing.
Yeah. So it's like you just generate a box plot and you find outliers, and based on your knowledge, you can recognize some outliers. But we have, for me, I have limited information about this data set. We have difficult communicating with insurance company, so maybe that's totally legitimate. But I just want to demonstrate how you can identify this.
Right, so how many claims, is that just one claim? Or is that a combination?
This is just
of
one claim, just one claim.
Okay,
So actually it's 1,547 days
right.
after the loss is administered, the company actually calls.
So, and that would be, it's possible, because you can think of reasons why a claim might be. If they believe that somebody filed a false claim, they're gonna investigate it.
Yeah.
And maybe the investigation took that long. Or maybe I watched too much murder TV. And so, if somebody killed somebody and tried to file a claim, clearly the insurance company's gonna investigate, they're not gonna pay it out, right? So there might be legitimate reason, or if somebody is suspected of, doing something illegal to get to be able to claim the insurance proceed, then the insurance company is very risk averse, right? So they're gonna try to investigate that before they pay it out. So the fact that there's one is probably a little less concerning than if you saw that there are a lot of claims where they're taking this long period of time to pay it out.
So this is box plot, but box plot is like a one-dimension graph. So for the one-dimension graph for your screen, it only can utilize limited pixels. So normally, like in the past, when we use static visualization, the box plot here, we cannot change anything. But right now, if you use interactive visualization, if you do not like box plot because it's one dimension, you can just transfer it to we call it scatter plot. Now we have two-dimension graph. You can utilize more pixels. You can make the data more clear. All right?
Well, see, and actually that is less clear to me. I like the box plot was really clear.
All right.
Right. And that's the cognitive task, right? Some things, this box plot might be, some tasks, this
Yeah.
box plot might be a lot easier to interpret versus, this graph might be easier to interpret than, let's say, a box plot for certain things.
Yeah, but
That's just too busy. There's too much stuff going on.
because I test another difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just want to show you that you can just transfer. If you do not like box plot, you can use scatter plot. If you do not get scatter plot, you can go back to box plot with the interactive function. So now we tested the second assertion with accuracy assertions by comparing the estimated payment with the actual payment. So for the company policy, the estimated payment should be equal to the actual payment. Otherwise, it's not good. Or it's as close as to zero. The closer to the zero, the better. Alright, so we just generate scatter plot. So the y-axis represent the actual payment. The x-axis represent the estimated payment. So, and I use the filter function of the tableau. Now I just focus on the individual games. But for the group game, there are a lot of weird features. Or we do not know. So now I just focus on the individual game. And immediately you can find a gray line here. claims located on this line is the we call normal claims, whose actual payment equals to the estimate, which is good claim. We can consider them as a good claim. But when you find a lot overestimated claims, so immediately, if you're an auditor, you can identify this company as a problem of overestimations because we have a lot of overestimated claims. And also we find just one claim with the underestimated problem. So maybe this one, I'm showing you interest. Because this company, like they have a pattern, like they are more likely to overestimate the payment of the policy. However, when you find one underestimated claim here, so you can just click on this data point, go to the large data until you find one. Alright. So for this visualization, I added a lot of dimensions in the graph. So the size of the circle represents the absolute value of the difference. So the larger the circle, the larger the absolute values. The color represents the actual difference between the actual payment and the estimated payment. I calculate the difference by the estimated payment minus the actual payment. So the blue means overestimated. The red and orange means underestimated. And the size of the circle means the absolute value of the difference. Okay?
So in this case, right, if you're looking at, so what this does is you can now just focus on, because the line is going up, those are all good payments, so you don't have to select a sample, right, of payments to test the accuracy of the payment. You can now just focus on those things that fall either above or below the line, depending on materiality, right? Because materiality, you would have already had the materiality established, and you focus on those that exceed materiality to determine. And this is, so even though you have some that are falling below the line, meaning that they overestimated, remember this could have an impact if you're going across reporting periods, right? Because that would mean that their liability was overstated in the reporting period, or in one case, understated. So when we talk about liabilities, we talk about the concern of unreported liabilities or liabilities being incorrectly, reported. Then you can identify those. In this case, you just have one.
So because I have little knowledge from this company, so I guess maybe this phenomena is due to the coverage of the different parts, different claims. So I add another dimension, which is the coverage code, represented by different ships. Alright, but it's kind of ambiguous for me because too many ships, including the graph.
So when you say coverage, do you mean the type of insurance?
The type of insurance, like
So whether it's life or
insurance or accident insurance, something like that.
Okay.
But it's too many ships here, so I don't like it. So with interactive functions, I use filter, and I want to investigate the coverage one by one. It's like a dashboard. I generate a dashboard, so I have 4 different graphs with different coverage code. This one, not this one, like this one. So each coverage has one graph. I want to investigate them one by one to find if they have some similar patterns for different all right, this one. Back to this one. This is another test. Also test the accuracy assertion, but now is the actual payment value. I invest the difference between the actual payment value with the insured amount. So according to the company policy, those two values should be equal to. But, and then we also find a good line here. but we find a lot under-insured claims and underpayment claims and overpayment claims for this company. All right. So and then I do the dashboard, do the filtering, and do investigate one coverage one by one. Okay. So all right. So I move on to the third test. We test accuracy assertions by investigating the distribution of time difference between the policy effective date and the loss occurrence date. So intuitively, you should buy the policy first, then the company pay you money. It's like I got some loss today. I should have the insurance already buy like 1 month ago. If I buy the policy like next week, the policy should not pay for my loss, which I had like 1 month ago. It's like the anomalous. So I do this graph, the line graph, to show the distribution of those 3 different policies. So we can see that for the distribution, most of the claims are included in this area, which is good because the difference is positive, which means that I calculate the difference. It's a difference represents how many days the loss occurrence date earlier than the policy effective. So you can see most of the claims are good claims. All right. So the loss occurred before the policy effective date, but we still find
No, after, right? The loss has to occur after the date of the policy.
Oh, yeah, the loss occurred after the policy effective. But we still find a lot negative
Yeah,
difference.
that's the problem, right? So you don't care about those that are 0 to, because those are good policies. So you would focus your attention on anything that occurs prior to point 0.
Yeah. So we can focus on those
On the left.
difference, which is negative difference, which means the loss occurred before the policy effective date. But I also find from the graph you can see that most of those claims are under the group policy. So maybe because of the weird nature of the group policy, I do not know. So maybe the reason is due to the special group policy, something. I don't know.
Well, you would investigate that as an auditor, because even with a group policy, what would be the reason that you would institute a policy after a loss has occurred? The company should not pay out
Yeah.
on that. So you would definitely want to look at that.
Yeah, and also some difference very huge for those 2 group policies.
It seems to be a problem with the group policy.
Yeah,
It seems to be a
sometimes
problem.
something happened with those policies. So this is like a distribution. And also I generate a histogram to compare the policy cancellation date and the loss occurrence date. Intuitively, if the policy already been canceled by you or by the company should not pay you money after cancellation. So we have immediately we find 2 patterns for the data set. So a lot claims the company can see the find that the company they prefer to set up the cancellation date like 7 years or 100 years after the loss occurrence date, something like that. But also we find a lot of claims whose difference is very close to 0. And also we do find some anomalies. The policy already been canceled, but the company should still pay the money. So we kind of like want to know why.
Right, so, and you see again, it seems to me that the group policies that seem to be the problem, right? But also, I guess with this one, depends on when the loss occurred, right? So the loss occurred, they paid out after the policy was canceled.
Yeah.
But the loss could have occurred before the policy was canceled, right? So they're still liable. So I incurred a loss, I put in a claim, it canceled the policy after I put in the claim. It's unusual, but
Yeah, it's
it
possible.
could be that and also along with the fact that some policies that took a long time to pay out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as long as you're insured at the time of the loss, as long as you had a policy in force at the time of the loss, the company's obligated to pay you if the claim is legitimate.
Okay. So, yeah, maybe a little legitimate. So, with the involved interactive functions, we can transfer this graph from the histogram to the scatter plot, and we can focus on all the claims with the negative difference. So we find like,
So each of those represent an individual claim.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no, the blue represent individual claims.
No, but I mean
Yeah.
if, I'm looking at the circle, right?
Yeah, each circle represent
One claim.
claims. Yeah.
Okay.
And also I label the difference with each circle. So like this one on the top, it has the difference almost close to 1 year. So it's like the policy already canceled 1 year after the loss occurs. So that's maybe for the auditor you can just put this data point to further investigate the reason.
Right, so could you go back to the other slide? So this chart, right, so because you created from that all the losses, what you could do though as an auditor, because the claims at the far right there are good,
Yeah.
but these are the problem claims, so wouldn't you was the second chart, visualization chart based on the problem claims or all the claims?
Yeah, the
Or
single
both?
the single job only include those problem.
Okay, got it, okay.
I use the future on the top here.
Okay, so the auditor then just focused on the
Yeah,
problem?
I can delete the futures, just get rules like this.
Okay.
There's another representation for the data.
Okay.
The first one is square, this is scalar. This is only difference. But we can use the filter to only select the negative difference.
Right, okay.
So you make it more clear. And you can, for the individual claim, you can just click this circle to go to the origin data set to find more information about it. Okay, this is about insurance. Now we move on to the second data set, which is the startups data set. We can generate a geographical heat map to show how many new companies was founded in the past 20 years.
Look, can I ask you to skip ahead to the last one, because I think that's probably a little bit more relevant to,
Okay.
but not that one, the last data set that you had 3 data sets.
All right, okay.
One was insurance, one was startup, I don't remember what the other one, but I just think the other data set might be a little bit more, consistent with some audit.
This one?
Is this the one?
Yeah, this is the data set
Oh, second, right.
I made up
Okay.
to show the transaction between different agencies.
Right. So this one is the relationship with, I can't read that, different agents based on sales transactions. Okay.
Yeah, sales transactions. So
Alright.
the line represents the relationship. So when I prepared the data set, I gave each agent different the longitude and latitude of the graph. So the size of the circle represents the total sales transactions
For that
happened
agent.
for that agent. And also I label the transaction directions beside the line. So if you have a good design of this kind of diagram, if you have like 1,000 or like 100,000 different agents, you can find some hotspot or find some related party transactions.
Okay, so what does, I'm a little confused, so what is this record? So So if I see the line going from, the pink to Mary Jane and then Jane Wayne,
Yeah.
does that mean that Mary is selling to Jane?
Yeah.
And then Jane sells it to Wayne?
The Jane sells to wing, and the wing is pink, and Jane is orange,
Mhm.
and Mary is green. So it's kind of.
So, but I don't understand what this is telling us. Are these related party transactions?
No, I just made it up to show the economic diagram. It's like the Mary sells something to the Jane, and the Jane sells something to the Wayne. It's like this.
Okay, but they're not a part of the same company.
They are the agent in the same company.
Right, so that's a problem, right?
Yeah, that's the
So, so I'm just trying to relate this to auditing, right? And so if I'm an auditor and I want to see if, so why would salespeople sell to product to each other? Because it's not resulting in any profit for the company, right? They're just moving product around. That could be, indicative of people trying to collect commissions, to increase their commissions, right? There should be no sales of product between salespeople, right?
Yeah, it's like you can apply this to test the segregation of duties for the
Right,
audit.
okay.
It's like for agents with the similar duties, you can set stick a very close longitude and latitude for those agents. If we have very big data sets, so like we can plug here and plug here and plug here. The duty should be segregated. But if we find a line cross those two different areas,
I think that's one you should do.
yeah, that's why.
And you should do that one.
Oh, I should do that.
You should do a segregation. That makes more sense, because this one's a little confusing.
Okay, I can.
No, I mean, you don't have to do it now, but you can go through this again.
All right, yeah. I just make it up.
Yeah, because that would, if an auditor had reason to suspect that there's some, salespeople are abusing commissions or something, they might do something like this to see if they're just moving product back and forth between, because that doesn't result in a sales for the company.
All right, just one more thing I want to tell you how to the geographical data set. Like, so for Tableau, if you have a right name of the city in your data set, the Tableau can automatically download longitude and latitude for the city. All right. So this is the map of the United States, and the circle represents the number of the new companies was founded in the past 20 years. So this is the Bay Area. You can find that a lot of new companies was founded in San Francisco. So for other countries, as long as you have the right name of the city, Tableau can download the longitude and latitude of the city. So it's very easy. As long as you have like tables, the column name is cities, and you have the right name of the cities, you can generate the geological categories.
So you use this to look at new startups. This is something you could use, an auditor could use if they're looking at sales, right?
Yeah.
By geographical region, they can drill down to see where the sales are occurring or distribution, where products are being shipped. Right? So they're things if you're trying to find anomalies in the data.
So for this data it's like one company was founded in San Francisco and also New York City. So which is
Yeah.
if you find a hotspot like in the Midwest, maybe that indicates some. Alright, so this is the presentation of Tableau. So remember, if you want to use Tableau, you can just Google Tableau in the students and try to apply for it.
As you're doing your ideal project, you might think of ways that you could use Tableau to analyze the data in idea. All right, so thank you, Lou. We appreciate it. So guys, I will on Thursday make sure that you read chapter 11, completing the audit. That's what we're going to cover on Thursday, and I will give that